On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome Sarah Carlson to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Carlson, Madison's own evening news anchor, whose life took an unexpected turn when epilepsy and an on-air seizure forced her away from the spotlight. After more than a decade of struggle, persistence, and hope, Carlson found a treatment that gave her life back. And in January 2025, she returned to the news desk. Her story is one of resilience, courage, and never giving up. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you are doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on Facebook at Survive and Thrive 8791. The podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday, Thursday morning, featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects, such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. I have a conference reminder before I introduce our esteemed guest, who will also be a keynote speaker at the conference. I'd like to highlight the upcoming Survive and Thrive 8791 Mental Health and Recovery Conference taking place in Madison, Wisconsin. Join us on Wednesday and Thursday, October 29th and 30th at the Whole Chunk Nation Madison branch office. This powerful two-day event will feature several speakers who will share their stories through mental health and addiction challenges and how they learn to survive and thrive. You can register for the conference on our website. If you're a business or an advocate for mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Our website is surviveandthrive8791.com. This is where we get into our guest and episode intro. And according to the internet, and the internet is always right, correct, Sarah Carlson?
Always. Mm-hmm.
Always. Well, if you're in my house, I don't need the internet. I don't need Google. I don't need, Alexa or Siri or Gemini. I have my wife, Sarah. And she's always right.
Smart man.
Smart man. According to an AI artificial intelligence overview, while a precise annual diagnosis number for U.S. women with epilepsy isn't available, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, reported that in 2021, the prevalence of active epilepsy was 1.1% of U.S. adults, with the prevalence not differing by sex. Given that about 2.9 million adults had active epilepsy in 2021, and roughly half of those were women, an estimated 1.45 million women were diagnosed with active epilepsy in that year. Today's guest was diagnosed with her epilepsy in the fall of 2008. Today, I welcome Sarah Carlson to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Sarah grew up in Oak Park, Illinois, a suburb of the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois, and attended Oak Park and River Forest High School and is a proud Husky. After high school, Sarah would take her talents to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she would graduate with a degree in broadcast journalism and public relations. After college, Sarah spent a little time in Alexandria, Minnesota, and La Crosse, Wisconsin, before returning to Madison and starting her career at WKOW-TV, Channel 27. Today, I'm so glad you could join us. Sarah Carlson, what is up?
Oh boy, what is up?
Thank
you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I am honored, and you're one of the elites that have sat in that chair.
What makes me elite?
Well, you're a public personality.
That's true.
You're with our CBS affiliate,
yep.
And we are big TV watchers in this house. And Channel 3 has always been on it, usually 6 and 10, but now it's just really at 5 and 6 because we're old and we get tired.
Like my husband, I will admit, is in bed by 10, but he watches the 6. And I'll admit, too, I've always loved Channel 3, even though I've worked at all the stations. And we're the only left in town that is still family owned and operated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what family is that?
Morgan Murphy Media.
Morgan Murphy Media. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you see the Murphys, or they pop in once in a while?
Well, unfortunately, Liz Murphy, the owner, passed away this year.
The matriarch?
The matriarch of the company and family passed away. But her son, the stepson, I believe, Brian Burns, is our owner.
Okay.
And yes, we see him.
I have a fun fact. You are believed to be the only person to work at all three stations: WKOW Channel 27, WMTV Channel 15, and most recently and currently WISC TV3.
Right.
And that was working at all three stations and on air. Wow.
And on air, right. There's someone else out there, I believe, who worked at all three behind the scenes. I don't know who that is, but I've been told. And I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's fun and I'm proud of it. And I plan to stick with this one for a while. So.
And then the automatic question last night with my wife when we were setting this thing up is, have you been on Fox 47?
And the answer, as before we started, is I think I filled in once. So the Fox affiliate is often comes through one of the other affiliates in town. So for a long time it was with 27, WKOW.
Oh, yes.
And now it is with us, WISC. And when it was with 27, I'm pretty sure I filled in when Kim Svem was an anchor, who is Eric Franke's wife.
Oh, yes.
Try to keep that all straight in your head.
When I've talked to some of the TV personalities and, they were used to be on weather or sports or anchored the news, and they bring out, Terry Kelly's name or Van Stout or any of those people that when I was growing up watching TV, it is so cool to remember those people.
Yeah.
Summer's essentially over. How was your summer? What'd you do? Anything cool?
I had my kids home, and my daughter was home from college. So that's always just lovely to have her back in the house, on and off. She visits with her dad for a while. She visits with me. And my son graduated high school and then left. So summer was nothing glorious in terms of like a big trip or something exciting that we did. It was just a lot of family time. And that sounds so cheesy, but it was just having my kids and my parents who live nearby and my husband and his son. This is like, I call us the Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch,
It's the Brady Bunch. So my stepson, my youngest stepson and his girlfriend moved in about a month ago. So just before we would be empty nesters, we became not so much empty.
Well, if you and your husband need to have like a plan or something in place to, what do we do when we eventually truly get the empty nest? Go to Tim Decora's Facebook page, and start at 2016, I believe.
Okay.
And there's a lot of fun and cool stuff.
Ideas.
Yes.
All right.
With the start of school then,
Yeah.
Not only high school, but also college, that usually means we are in the fall. What do you love about the fall?
Fall's my favorite season. Always. I'm a runner. So running in this weather has been magical, amazing.
It's going to warm up here in a couple of days.
It's going to warm up. It always gets hot in September. And it can get hot in October, but the little bursts of fall that we get these days, I'll take it. And I'm running the Chicago Marathon in October, next month. Oh boy. So that's what I'm looking forward to this fall.
Yes, my wife and I are still trying to figure out if we're going to go down or not, because my son is running the Chicago Marathon.
Oh, that's right.
Yep, and we were trying to look for a place to stay. And
oh boy,
I did realize, but I didn't. There'll be 53,000 runners in that race that are also looking for places to stay. So we might be following my son, and I can now follow Sarah Carlson's little little thing on
online.
Yeah, online.
And I would recommend you can stay in like a faraway suburb
and
then
take
just
take
the train in and find a way, and
along with the other 22,000 other people on the train.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Before we get to your story, I need to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. Sarah, do you cook?
No, I like to. Wait, scratch that. I don't like to, but when I figure it out.
But when I do.
But when I do and I figure it out, I like it. oh, like I've accomplished something. But frankly, I prefer breakfast for dinner because it's fast and I love eggs.
Breakfast for breakfast. And I've never had, I suppose you could label brunch as having breakfast for lunch, but that's usually kind of in between. And we used to have quite a few nights where we'd go breakfast for dinner.
That's what I'm doing.
And love it. Mm-hmm. Yes. With their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back. With locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. And here's my little drum roll. Very, very acoustically sound table. Have you been to Buck and Honey's?
Oh, I have been to Buck and Honey's many times, and Buck and Honey's just catered my wedding.
Yes.
So I married John last summer. Mm-hmm. We've been together 11 years, so we got married around our 10-year anniversary. But Buck and Honey's catered our wedding, and they were tremendous. Mm-hmm. Not only the different entrees that we had to choose from, but we had people walking around with appetizers. And I've been to the restaurants. Love them, love them, love them. Especially the Monona location when you go down into that basement area near the water. Love it.
Yes, it's a very good atmosphere. And I think they're all different. Sun Prairie, you got the home office. Mm-hmm. Monona was second. It's right on the, the canal or whatever. Waunakee took over a different restaurant, and it's got its own vibe. And then Mount Horeb's right off the main drag. And Mount Horeb's just not an eclectic, but it's just an older town. And they're all different, but they all have kind of the same menu and great food. I'd recommend the pizza.
Oh, next time you go. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we talk about what was it like, so we'll get into Sarah's history, what happened to get Sarah on the podcast. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what happened and get into what it's like now and discuss Sarah's 5 suggestions for thriving. All right, segment 1, what was it like before and what happened? You were raised in Oak Park, Illinois.
Right.
What was life like growing up for Sarah?
I've always wanted to tell my whole story and write a book or something, and I think this part would be boring only because my life was it was great and simple. I'm an only child, and I was an 80s kid back in the day. Mm-hmm. Life was simple, I guess. There were no cell phones, so we got on our bikes and had to be home before dark.
Bologna sandwiches.
I don't eat meat. Ever since I was in the high chair, according to my parents, I threw the meat back at them. So cheese sandwiches, grilled cheese, nuts. Anyway, but I feel very blessed that I had a fantastic childhood.
All right. The big question I have to ask is, are you a Bears or Packers fan? I
became a Packers fan pretty quickly. Gosh. During college, I didn't pay attention. I only cared about the Badgers, and no one asked. And then it was shortly after that, because I was doing TV news, and the sports guy at the time sits next to me and says something about "Go Pack Go," and I was like, "Yeah." What was I going to say? This was Brett Favre at the time.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. I was afraid someone would murder me in the parking lot. I shouldn't say that these days, but if I didn't say yes, so I just did. And then I dated someone who was a huge Packers fan, and worked out well.
I was going to say, we're not Dodgers fans, and we're not going to take you out and rough you up and maybe pummel you. Bears and Packers fans are just good people. They really are when it comes down to it. We have not been to a game at Soldier Field, been to a concert there, but in my interactions, we're neighbors, so we might as well get along.
Right.
Except for on the Sundays, we play each other. Tell us about your family growing up.
So, again, I was so blessed with a mom and dad who showed me how to survive and thrive. It's, as much as that sounds cheesy, it's true. They worked hard, and I had a grandpa who was around who helped watch me a little bit. And tell me more, what was it about my family? Mm-hmm. Both of my grandmothers passed before I was born. Yeah. It's kind of a sad thing, but my great aunt, so my grandpa's sister, and and her husband were kind of a set of grandparents to me.
They stepped in
a lot, yeah. So I have fabulous memories of my Aunt Sylvia and Uncle Jay as well as my papa, my actual grandfather. And so I had a very small family. Mm-hmm. Then my mom's cousin, I just called him Uncle because I had so few. My mom has one sister, my dad has one brother, but they didn't live in town. Those in town, Uncle Frank and Aunt Barb and Aunt Sylvia and Uncle Jay, they really were just a very tight-knit group for me.
So you're going to make a great grandpa someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of like you. I hung out with my great uncle, who I called grandpa, and my grandpa all the time. They would come and get me all the time, and I did stuff with them forever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to be a grandpa.
I know.
So it was, I'm just doing and I had some great role models for that.
Oh, I can't wait.
You have a family of your own.
Yeah.
Husband and 2 children, and then you said a little Brady Bunch action in there. Spin some yarns about them.
The Brady Bunch. I love my Brady Bunch. So I've been with John for 11 years now. He's my husband, my second husband. With my first husband, I had Madeline and Ethan. Madeline's 20 years old. Sounds so weird to say it. and
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
You don't look old enough
to
have
fantastic.
a 20-year-old.
Wow, thanks. Oh, and I feel tired too, so thanks. So Madeline's 20, and she's already back at school in Savannah, Georgia, at Savannah College of Art and Design. She's studying to become an actress. She's fantastic at it and also loves all of us behind the scenes stuff. So if she doesn't get an on-air role in film, she'll love to get involved, which we love. That school is fantastic, and so is Savannah. I love visiting there.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, sort of, because
right?
you kind of have to play a little bit of a role behind
There's
the
a
mic.
little acting.
There's a little bit of
I
acting.
can't act like I'm having a bad day when I can't really be having a bad day during a newscast.
No.
So yeah. Anyway, and then Ethan is taking a gap year, my son. He's 18 and is a smart, fantastic boy who just wasn't ready for school. So he and a buddy of his are living in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
That's just a horrible place
I know.
to live.
And they're having such a blast. And I've joked with my friends that I think he has contacted me more or been in touch with me more in the last month that he's been gone or so, that he did the senior year. He sends me photos of the sunset. Mm-hmm. I know.
That's a nice little horseshoe area in Puerto Vallarta. So we were there in 2016 for spring break, and beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I would love to go back there.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that once they graduate from high school, how much smarter you'll get.
Yeah.
This year and then next year, and you'll be really smart when they graduate from college.
I know. I love it. I can take it. And then John has 2 amazing sons. One is 31, the other is 26. And just before Ethan moved out, and we would have been complete empty nesters, we had Michael, his youngest, move in with his girlfriend in the basement. They're just going to take up some space for a bit while they save up money for a place here.
That's great that you're opening up the place. And
oh, it's great. Adult kids are really fun.
Charging them rent?
No, indirectly. They're saving up. We're making sure they're doing that. And then they will have some money to put down.
Absolutely.
Because it's hard to rent here.
It's terrible.
Impossible.
Everybody wants to move into Madison, and rightfully so. Safe, nice, but rent is a lot.
Yeah.
You graduated from Oak Park and River Forest High School. You're a proud Husky. What were some of your favorite memories from high school?
I'm so glad you asked, because I just spent the weekend with my girls.
Gal pals.
I did. I'm still really, really tight with, they're some of my best friends in the world, all of my Oak Park ladies. And my favorite memories, though, from those days, was a dancer. You kind of always are. Mm-hmm. But I was a serious dancer. So the dance team was really fun, and therefore football games were a different thing to me back then. And just being in dance and being able to do that all the time, I didn't realize until I couldn't anymore that was, such a huge part of my life. And those girlfriends, those girls are just like sisters to me. So those are my favorite memories.
Going to have to worry about the knees and hips?
No.
Oh, good.
I'm running. I did 20 miles on Saturday.
You did?
Yeah, I did. No, I'm training for the Chicago Marathon.
Yes.
Yeah. So because I happened to be visiting my old friends, I took advantage of the Illinois State Prairie Path.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. The Madison area has phenomenal paths, which I run all the time. But this is the one I used to train on when I lived there for a while. We'll get to that later, like where I lived. I bounced around a bit. It's fantastic. So I took advantage of a beautiful day. And I'm like, I've got to do my 20 eventually. So I just did it.
Just go.
Just go.
After high school, you would take your talents to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where you graduated with a broadcast journalism and public relations degree. What was the lure? What was the pull? And then were there any other suitors for your talents?
No one was looking for my talent. I didn't know I wanted.
I think you're not the only one that has said that.
Yeah, I think they were looking for my parents' money and mine. My cousin, I probably should have brought this up as a childhood memory, but but all of my cousins are fantastic. I have fun memories of them. But my cousin Jill, older cousin, went here and we visited, and I was like, okay, this is it.
I'm hooked.
Jill was so cool and Madison was so cool. The combination was, and then I also really liked a much different, smaller school, Miami of Ohio.
Oh, yes.
Right? I don't really know why.
One of my previous guests went to school there.
Oh, cool.
Went to college there and she went there from Overland Park, Kansas, all the way to, Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
So, that rings a bell.
But Badgers won.
Mm-hmm. After graduating, you started work in Alexandria, Minnesota. I automatically thought Virginia, which would have been, you probably wouldn't have left if you would have went there. And
Maybe not.
and then La Crosse, Wisconsin. What were those first jobs like?
I talk to some of the younger reporters in the newsroom now, and I always say, it's going to get better. You got to really work like a dog in this business because so many people want to do what we're doing. I don't know why, but I would say because it's fun. No job is perfect. And I'm old enough to know that the grass isn't always greener, but man, are those jobs in your first years, you're working like a dog, not getting paid much, and still loving it. Alexandria was very brief. And then I came into La Crosse to the sister station of WKOW.
Oh, yes.
And it was just a lot of fun. I was the weekend anchor, and then I reported during the week. I did a lot of crime reporting. I say that in a goofy face because I remember waking up in the morning and going to the police station and sifting through police reports.
That's part of the job, sifting.
Was part of my, yeah. And we had a police scanner at the station, but for some reason they had me sifting through them, and we got to know some of the officers there who had to watch over us, and we just had a blast.
So Alexandria, is that right on the other side of the river, or is it a little further in?
Alexandria is like go to Fargo, take 2 steps back. It's pretty far north.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And it's on the other side then?
What do you mean?
Western Minnesota?
Oh God, yeah. It's on the border of western Minnesota. So KSTP and KARE 11 in the Twin Cities, two of the big stations, started these satellite stations. I think they may have shut them down, but I should know, but I don't right now. We were taking up only the second segment of news because viewers felt like they needed more local. So they would watch these fantastic big market anchors and reporters, and they would flip to us after the first commercial. These kids.
The JV team.
The JV team, but we were covering local. And we really, we busted our tails, and we drove 6 miles up to a fire because that's what happened that day way up north. Yeah.
In 2000,
Yeah.
not very long after you got out of college, you returned to Madison and started at WKOW Channel 27. After a couple of years at SSM St. Mary's, you get back into TV with WMTV Channel 15. It was in 2008 that you started feeling funny.
Perfect word. That's all it was. So I'd been moving through in my TV career as I wanted, although I took that break at SSM. That PR degree helped. But yeah, I was on the air with Christine Belport and Charlie Shortino, and I'll never forget just feeling off. I'm looking at a camera now, and I'm talking about it, and I can. But I could do that. I could read the prompter. I could keep talking to them. So we couldn't figure it out. I did pretty shortly after that go to a doctor, and they tested me for everything under the sun. It took months. Drawing blood.
Taking skin cells.
I don't even remember. There were thoughts of hypoglycemia, that I would be dizzy or something, but I didn't feel that dizzy. It was tough to figure out. And that's why one of the last things they tried was an EEG. So all the electrodes are making the monstrous head now. All the electrodes glued to my head. And I'll never forget during that EEG, the tech, they're not supposed to tell you anything, but the look on his face was like, oh, wow, okay. And so apparently I was having dozens of seizures a day, but they were very, very small.
And you didn't know other than
No.
something was short-circuiting, but
Something
not
was
enough
feeling
to...
funny. It would make me a little nauseous. Didn't feel right.
Well,
And then the journey began.
Because our listeners want to hear the rest of the story, and I got a little bit of the story a couple of weeks ago over some coffee, but I need to talk about our sponsor one more time, and then we'll talk about the epilepsy diagnosis. Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask why Buck and Honey's. Owner Tom Anderson replaces a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does. In 2011...
By the way, I have to say my stomach growled while you were talking.
Oh, it did. I didn't even hear it.
I love Buck and Honey's, and that might be why. Anyway, move on.
In 2011, while anchoring at WISC TV3, Sarah would suffer an on-air seizure caused by scar tissue that developed after she had a brain tumor removed. And fortunately for her and the rest of the WISC TV crew and the followers, that was not cancerous.
Correct.
Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365 and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim DeCora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. In November 2011, Sarah Carlson would have an on-air seizure while anchoring the news. That was brought on after an epilepsy diagnosis, surgery to remove a brain tumor that left some scar tissue, causing what we agreed to say a short circuit. She is going to share how she survived and thrived during that time. Since the show has a mental health component to it, and people get a lot out of this part of how you deal with something that happened, you were experiencing anxiety and depression after, what were you experiencing at the time of your diagnosis? I've heard people say, well, relief, now I know what it is, or B, I don't want to have epilepsy. What were you experiencing? Anxiety, depression? Because I know you said a little bit of both.
Oh, gosh, a little bit of both or a lot of both. Because I did reach out right away to people in the epilepsy community who were really supportive, but it didn't help in that my overly positive attitude was, well, we're going to solve this. Because so often epilepsy medication doesn't stop the seizures. So I think it's something like 1 out of every 3 patients takes medicine and doesn't stop having seizures. And guess who one of those was? That's a statistic, by the way, that was thrown out at me, and you can find online where everything's always right. That's often true. And in my case, we'll jump around a little bit here, but in my case, I struggled with seizures for 12 years. So I figured I was just one of those people who was always going to have it, and the medicine wasn't going to work. And after medication number 2 or 3, I was pretty down in the dumps about, okay, so the rest of my life, I have to try to stop these things, which are doing damage to my brain, by the way. Because immediately after many of those episodes, or a bad day of them, I would feel off. I would need to sleep. It wasn't just, I've had seizures, or I had a seizure and now I can come to and be okay. And rewind a bit from that, you were asking about what it feels like. During certain seizures, when I was first diagnosed, I think we talked about, I could read the teleprompter, I could talk to my co-anchors, and I could drive because I knew what was happening. I was having conscious seizures. They were called simple partial. And then my brain decided to, for the fun of it, let's change that to complex partial. Complex partial means I'm no longer conscious. So we discovered that, around the time I think I had that seizure on Channel 3, where I just spoke gibberish, and I don't remember a thing. I don't remember a thing. I do remember the moments before thinking, I feel funny, but I can read through a prompter when I feel funny. And I kept trying to read, and that's why gibberish words came out of my mouth. And I almost did it with confidence until I finally stopped and put my head down. It's easy to find online, by the way. I actually encourage people who want to hear my story, because I'm not, it's not that, what's the word I'm trying to come up with?
Well, I think while you're thinking of that word, when I was doing some research after you responded to my initial, message on Facebook that I'd love to have you on the podcast, and I started doing just some brief research of what happened, because you were at an event that I was at in February, the Project Brave event out in Roxbury, Wisconsin, and I heard your story and I remember it. I had memories of it, and then I had to look it up. But the best thing about when you're looking up what happened, there are then the other stories that I started to read about your recovery and things that you went through. And for anybody that's out there that is listening because you saw the word epilepsy or you saw Sarah Carlson's name, what happened, you can share this episode with them. And Sarah's got a lot of things that she's talking about today on the podcast. And then if you do some research on it, a bunch of articles will come up that detail things that you were doing to help you get back on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. And not just get back on TV, because that took a long time and I never thought it would happen. I feel like a fly on a wall when I say that part. So I don't want to jump around too much, but I want to explain. So I was diagnosed in 2008, and it took a couple of years to find the tumor. That was removed, and by then, again, forget which TV station I was working because that was jumping around too. But again, diagnosed, and then it took a couple of years to find the tumor. And then we thought the tumor removal may not solve this problem, but it would help, and it didn't. In fact, it probably made it worse. More parts of my brain jumped in on the fun, so on and so forth. And I kept anchoring on, pun intended, until a doctor of mine said, no, you need to stop this news business. It's a higher stress kind of job. And because it's live, that's putting more stress on me. So I've we might be able to edit something that could happen here. But that was live TV. And it was every single day I worried, am I going to have another one? So that's what stunk the most. I had to give up. I lost my career. I felt that way, at least. And it was all those years later that suddenly I'm moving back. And, you could ask me more questions, so we do this more chronologically.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself.
I know. I don't want to do that, but yeah, it's crazy.
So during this time, and I do stick to script because people that are listening, that are regular listeners, now they're going to think, okay, this is the time where he asks about her coping skills.
Yeah.
So she's going through this diagnosis, and then you had your on-air situation or episode, and then you had your tumor removed, etc. All of those. I'm not probably following script, but what were you doing to cope with all of those feelings?
At the beginning, I think I admitted, I don't think I coped. It was so shocking. It was so awful. It was moving so fast, and my kids were little, that I didn't stop to cope. And that's probably not a good thing. Once I stopped to cope, and I still had seizures, so I wasn't seizure-free, it was therapy. It was my mom and dad. It was my husband, John, It was my kids, my friends. I leaned on people. I finally went in and said, I'm not okay. I also found running to be really therapeutic for me and a lot of other things. But when I finally realized I'm not feeling okay and I need to talk about that, everyone in my life went, well, no kidding. We were wondering when you'd admit it, because I'd always say I was fine. It's just my personality.
Did you ever utter the 3 words that I've heard several of our guests use when they were having a mental health issue or whatever? Utter the 3 words, I need help.
I don't even know if I uttered them. I just went there. And there was a time when I may have told you this at coffee, and I'm starting to admit this more because I think it's way too important not to. At one point, probably in 2020, shortly before my seizure stopped, which is 2020, I was feeling borderline suicidal. I didn't want to do anything to myself, to hurt myself, because that scared me. But I wished that my seizures would take me.
I remember you saying that, and it's one thing to read about it, and it's another thing to hear about it from somebody else. But when we were sitting having coffee in Middleton and you mentioned that, it's kind of one of those like punch in the gut a little bit, that here's this person who, we watch on TV all the time, and getting to know you now and what a strong woman you have been through all of this stuff, that underneath behind that armor, there is that soft spot that, I don't want to do this anymore. But was there something that made the biggest impact to you that, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to think about that. Was there something that turned the tide a little bit?
Oh gosh, I started to lean harder at that point into my therapist. Never be afraid to find one. I ended up using somebody on, we had to go FaceTime because it was hard to get an appointment. Mm-hmm. We'll do whatever you can to find one.
Virtual meeting.
Anything. She was remarkable. Again, my loved ones. But it was also a medication after 16 years that worked. Do I have that right? After 12 years that worked. All of a sudden, when I was at my lowest, this, hope was nowhere in my vocabulary.
So somebody's listening right now, and they might be in year 6, or maybe they're in year 12, and they're writing stuff down. And what is that medication?
Oh, my medication, Xcopri, X the letter, Copri. It may not solve everybody's problems if they have epilepsy, but I also like to share this story because if you're having those feelings, you're that low for some other reason, whether it might be loss or addiction, that I really didn't think it was going to get better. And it can, and it will.
I'm glad. I think people need to hear that sometimes you need to be at your lowest point and then kind of, so to speak, bounce off the bottom of your emotional bottom, and then you have crawled and bite and scratched and clawed your way back to Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
In 2021, you returned to Madison to be closer to your kids.
Yep.
And in January of 2025, you are back anchoring the news at WISC TV3 with your longtime friend and the 6'3" friend, Eric Franke. What was it like coming back to Madison? And actually, you know what, as I'm reading, I'm looking at your face and you just lit up like a light bulb.
I know.
What was it like coming back to Madison?
I always wanted to be here. I never wanted to leave. I love telling that part of the story because people are like, oh, she went back to Chicago. No, I left because I couldn't work anymore and I needed family support, and I became a single mom at the time and I needed help. So I had to be somewhere else. I never wanted to lose Madison. So I got back to Madison, and that was a thrill in 2021. And then I never thought I would run into people and they go, are you going to be back on the news? And
we can't wait to see you.
Oh, my heart would break. Right. Because I said, well, I used to joke, there are 3 people who have to quit, 3 or 4 people who would have to quit their jobs, and that's not happening. And then it did. So Charlotte left Channel 3. And they decided to hire at Channel 3 and News 3 now. I should stop calling it Channel 3.
My heart is breaking a little bit when you said Charlotte's leaving.
I know. I adore her. But yeah, I never thought it would happen. So that's why you saw me light up. And that's why I think I appreciate every day. Yeah. And I love my job.
And we're all glad that you came back.
Thank you.
A familiar face on air. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here are Sarah Carlson's 5 suggestions that have allowed her to survive and thrive with epilepsy and the aftermath of that as well. Here's what you shared, and I'm going to toss these in underhand softball style. Can you hit a softball?
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it.
I took softball, even though I was a ballerina. I stunk at it, but I could hit one.
You could hit one. Mm-hmm. You said that with a ferocity.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go through these one at a time, and I'm going to have you hit these in about 60 seconds or less. And since you have TV brain, you're going to probably know exactly what 60 seconds is. Mm-hmm. Number 1, find something you like to do that clears your mind, whether it's exercise or watching a movie. Go ahead and hit that.
Clearing your mind, that's an easy one. If somebody likes a TV show, just watch it. If you're feeling down or if you need help and it's not in your hands, go watch your favorite movie or show if it makes you laugh. Exercise was a huge one for me. All of a sudden, I figured out that running was therapy for me. Not everybody likes running. If it's another kind of exercise, go to the gym, whatever. Kickboxing. I was exercising and running, and my seizures were so bad that my dad had to follow me in a car, or I had to run with a friend because I did have seizures while I was running. But those are easy things to find.
Movement. I always say movement is medicine.
Amen.
Number 2, talk to someone, whether it's a close friend or family member or a therapist. Hit that.
The therapist is probably my number 1 recommendation if you're hitting real low, because she helped drag me through the worst days and years probably that I had. And then there are close friends and family members out there who would love to hear from you. And even if you're going, oh, I don't want to burden them with this, or I don't want to take an hour of their time, call your best friend, call your old friend who you haven't talked to in a year, call a family member. They will listen.
Love it. Number 3, remember to be your own advocate. The healthcare system can do amazing things, but it's not always easy to navigate. Ask a lot of questions until you get what you need. They always get answered. Go ahead and hit that.
I have had probably 4 or 5 different neurologists, in part because I moved. But sometimes you have to ask a lot of questions before you get the answer that you didn't know you needed. So don't be afraid to continue asking questions. And then because I wrote this here, I have to say for epilepsy, finding the Epilepsy Foundation of Wisconsin and in Chicago was huge because I still didn't understand things that were happening. I tried 12 different medications before I found the one that worked, Xcopri, and I needed help figuring out what was going on with the side effect. I didn't feel right, and I needed to know it was okay to feel that side effect. And if you are suffering with addiction or you have another disease or anything, there is an organization, a nonprofit out there that would love to hear from you.
That has a lot of people that have walked your path, and they might be ahead of you on that path, but once you get to them,
bingo,
they can help you. Number 4, take it one day at a time. Go ahead and hit that.
I keep a calendar. I joke, I always keep it in my phone like we all do these days, but I also keep what I call my grandma calendar because it is 8.5 by 11. And I like to write notes. If I write down everything I did in a day, or if I just write down what I'm looking forward to that day, it's a little bit of journaling, but it's no pressure. So I have some weeks that are so busy, there's nothing in it. But there's something about knowing that there's another day coming that keeps me energized. If that doesn't work for you, then the take it one day at a time can be in another way. Sign up for a class next week. But just know that there's something to look forward to.
Good stuff. Number 5, I strongly recommend meditation and or breathing exercises. In through the nose, out through the mouth.
Exactly.
Breathe. Go ahead and hit that.
Some of the breathing exercises I learned, I thought it was geeky at the time, and now I do it, and I'm like, wow, life-changing. Breathing in for, I think, 7. Breathe in for 4, I should say. Hold your breath for 7 and breathe out slowly for 8 through the mouth. And do that and try to focus on anything you don't want to or do. Because I remember meditation was, I don't know, it was scary to me because I thought, well, how am I going to figure that out? And I started breathing exercises and it turned into meditation. And then you can get your mind off of everything that you don't want it on. Everything that's pulling you, I just pulled my hair, but everything that's dragging you down can go away, even if it's for 2 minutes.
I'm with you on the meditation and the breathing. I have done those, and I wish I would have known about them when I was 25 or 26.
Exactly.
But we eventually get to where we need to.
Mm-hmm.
What an episode. I'm so glad you could join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your story and how you had to cope with some health and family issues really is inspiring. And I recommend to the listeners today, just type in Sarah Carlson and Madison, Wisconsin, TV personality, and you're going to see some awesome stuff. Your story reminds us all to have coping skills or mental health tools in the toolbox when a person is met with the challenges of life. Despite that, you have survived and thrived. Our call to action, Sarah Carlson just shared her story and about how she has endured health issues that nearly derailed her professional career, but it didn't. She hopes that her story will help others who may travel the same path she has. Here are Sarah Carlson's 5 suggestions that have allowed her to survive and thrive. Number 1, find something you like to do that clears your mind. Number 2, talk to somebody. Number 3, remember to be your own advocate. Number 4, take it one day at a time. And number 5, she recommends meditation and or breathing exercises. As we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, are there any final thoughts, Sarah Carlson?
I'm always humbled by being called amazing or famous. Inspiring, right? But I think it's because I had to go through so much awful stuff. So first I want to thank you, and I'm humbled and honored to be on this podcast.
I need that little button down here that says, "Aww."
Aww. But I want to thank my doctor, Dr. Smith, my mom and dad, John, my husband, my children, and all my other amazing family and friends out there that have helped me get through this.
That's amazing. And I'm looking at that Kleenex box, and I don't know if I want to hand it to you or pull some Kleenex out for me.
I'm good at holding them back.
You are. On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.